Hey there, my pixel punching patriots. Today we're diving back into the era of big hair and even bigger shoulder pads to tackle a game where our favorite Marvel heroes look less like the Avengers and more like pixelated action figures lost in a child's bedroom. Yes, we're talking about Captain America and the Avengers. Can you believe there was once a time when seeing your favorite superheroes toss around pixelated bad guys on a screen was the peak of home entertainment? Well, brace yourselves as we explore just how this colorful arcade port tried to capture our quarters and our hearts, often managing to do neither perfectly.
The Avengers!
Delving into the pixelated depths of Captain America and the Avengers, it's easy to forget that behind every flying shield and robotic villain, there's a team of developers tirelessly translating comic book magic into arcade reality. This ambitious endeavor was the brainchild of Data East, a company known not just for its enthusiastic embrace of the arcade craze, but also for its bold decision to bring superhero action to the screens when the smell of hairspray still hung heavily in the air and comic books were just starting to reclaim mainstream allure. The development team, led by a group of visionaries who believed that superheroes should leap out of the pages and onto the screen, faced a daunting task: converting a 4-player arcade smash hit into a manageable home console experience. Imagine the challenge. They had to preserve the chaos and the charm of the arcade, where kids would crowd and quarters would clatter, all while fitting this expansive universe into the limited hardware of the early 90s home systems like the NES and Sega Genesis. The developers included producer Koji Akibayashi and a team of software engineers and artists had to employ some creative engineering. They worked with constraints of 16-bit graphics to bring vibrant colors and fluid animations that were, by the standard of the time, revolutionary. Each character sprite had to be designed to reflect their comic book origins closely, which meant hours of painstaking pixel art and probably a few heated debates over whether Captain America's shield was just the right shade of red. Now, as we catapult from the gritty reality of game development into the pixel-perfect universe of Captain America and the Avengers, we find ourselves smack in the middle of a plot that could only be concocted in the early 90s. A comic book fan's dream where simplicity meets mayhem. The storyline? It's as straightforward as an uppercut from Captain America himself. Stop the villainous Red Skull and his merry band of evildoers from, you guessed it, taking over the world. The game tosses players into the spandex suits of some of Marvel's finest: Captain America, Iron Man, Vision, and Hawkeye. Each character, a digital echo of their comic book selves, comes equipped with their own unique set of moves and abilities, because, in the world of video games, diversity isn't just about who you are, but what you can blow up. Captain America throws his mighty shield with all of the grace you'd expect from a man who's been doing it since World War II. Never mind the occasional off-screen miss. Iron Man, meanwhile, shoots beams from his palms, adding a touch of high-tech flair to the 16-bit brawling. Hawkeye shoots arrows, because what else would he do? And Vision, well, he phases and zaps because being an android synthezoid means you're not limited to mere human feats. These characters weren't just chosen for their diverse abilities. They represent a carefully curated selection meant to appeal to a broad audience of comics fans and gamers alike. Captain America brings the leadership. Iron Man brings the tech savvy. Hawkeye, the precision, and Vision, the outworldly mystique. Together, they traverse cities, underwater bases, and even space, because where else would a superhero team-up go to stop a villain like Red Skull? And speaking of villains, the game's antagonists are the who's who of the Marvel Rogues Gallery, each more delightful and over-the-top than the last. From Whirlwind to the Living Laser, the baddies not only challenge our heroes, but also pay homage to the rich history of Marvel Comics. These encounters are peppered throughout the game, punctuating the action with a quintessential comic book flair. A reminder that every punch thrown is a panel on the page. Now let's peel back the veneer of superhero bravado to scrutinize the nuts and bolts, or should we say, pixels and sprites, of Captain America and the Avengers. This isn't just about tossing shields and shooting arrows. It's about the art of 16-bit brawling, meticulously crafted for the button-mashing enthusiast. The gameplay mechanics in this game are a classic buffet of beat-em-up tropes, seasoned with a dash of superhero flair. Players navigate through various levels, each a side-scrolling journey punctuated by waves of enemies who apparently got the memo to show up just in time to be pummeled. The controls are straightforward: move, jump, and attack. But the devil, as they say, is in the details. Each character's attacks align beautifully with their superhero persona. Captain America hurls his shield with geometric precision. Iron Man unleashes laser beams as if he's powered by the electric bill of a small country. And Hawkeye's arrows seem to come from an infinite quiver, defying all laws of physics and common sense. But let's pause the action for a moment. If you're enjoying this dive into pixelated superhero antics, why not hit that like button faster than Hawkeye runs out of arrows? And subscribe, because who knows what superhero secrets we might uncover next. Now, back to the brawling. The ability to switch between characters at certain points allows for strategic gameplay. You might choose Iron Man for his ranged attacks in a particular pesky enemy-laden area, or Captain America when precision shield throwing is required to deactivate distant switches or knock out a line of approaching thugs. These character swapping mechanics add a layer of strategy to the game, making it more than just a mindless beat-em-up. It's a mindfully mindless beat-em-up, right? Additionally, environmental actions also play a role. Players can pick up and throw various objects like barrels, because what's a beat-em-up without throwing barrels? And even drive vehicles in certain levels. These elements provide a change of pace and tactics, often much needed after the umpteenth wave of similar-looking villains. But let's transition from the frantic button mashing of gameplay to the colder, harder numbers of commercial performance. Let's take a moment to evaluate how this game fared in the arcade arenas and living rooms across the globe. Released at a time when arcade games were still a primary source of entertainment for many, the game was initially launched in arcades before making its leap to home consoles like the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. This strategic move allowed for Data East to tap into the home gaming market, which was burgeoning with its potentials as more households than ever owned a video game console. The game's sales figures tells a story of moderate success. It didn't shatter any records, nor did it redefine the genre, but Captain America and the Avengers held its own in a competitive market. It's reported to have sold reasonably well, especially considering it was competing against other beat-em-ups and superhero games that were also vying for kids' allowances and parents' patience. The game's appeal was undoubtedly boosted by its Marvel comic book connections, drawing fans from Captain America and his allies to give this pixelated adventure a try. Interestingly, the game also contributed to the broader dialogue about the adaptation of comic book properties into video games. It's highlighted both the potential and the limitations of such an endeavor, teaching developers and publishers alike valuable lessons about the fidelity of source material, gameplay mechanics, and audience expectations. And now, welcome to the trivia treasure trove of Captain America and the Avengers. Grab your shields and power up your arc reactors as we test your knowledge of the game's secrets, Easter eggs, and fascinating facts. Let's see how well you know your pixels from your superheroes. First up, what unique feature did the arcade version of the game have that was sadly missing in most home console versions? The arcade version of Captain America and the Avengers allowed up to 4 players to play simultaneously, each taking on a role of a different Avenger. Most home console versions, however, were limited to just 2 players, which meant less cooperative superhero chaos and more taking turns on the couch. Next up, what's the amusing error in character dialogue that became a minor cult phenomenon among fans? One of the game's most memorable and amusing errors occurs during a boss fight when the villain Juggernaut is supposed to say, "I'm the Juggernaut." Instead, due to a translation mishap, he exclaims, "I am the Juggernaut." This unintentional error became a beloved quirk, often quoted by fans for its charming imperfection. And last, what technical limitation to a humorous and often frustrating gameplay quirk involving Hawkeye? Due to the technical limitations of the 16-bit processor, there was a noticeable delay in Hawkeye's arrows shooting animation. This often resulted in a humorous, yet very frustrating experience as players had to time their attacks prematurely, leading to many missed shots and comic misfires. And just like that, we've blasted through the pixelated past faster than the Avengers can assemble in a crowded arcade. We've dissected the game from its button-mashing glory to its trivia treasures. Hopefully you found this jaunt down memory lane more exhilarating than getting KO'd by a pixel villain for the umpteenth time. Thanks for sticking around, fellow retro warriors, and don't forget, keep your shields up and your gaming retro. Until next time, game over. If you enjoyed exploring the history of Captain America and the Avengers, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And as always, thank you for watching.